episode 16 of
A Very Venture Vodcast.
Today we're going to be talking about season 4.2, episode 5, Bright Lights, Dean City.
We want to start with our usual disclaimer. If you haven't seen this season, if you haven't seen the Venture Brothers, what are you doing? You're crazy. Get out of here, go buy it and watch it all, and then come back and watch our episodes.
Stay off the interwebs. Well, this episode, which was called Bright Lights, Dean City, was actually from a book-turned-movie, I believe, called Bright Lights, Big City. And it was turned to a 1988 film starring Michael J. Fox and Kiefer Sutherland. And the summary, thank you IMDb, is a disillusioned young writer living in New York City turns to drugs and drinking to block out the memories of his dead mother and estranged wife. So just fill in like other problems instead of those, and you have Dean's situation. And this episode was written by Jackson Publick, who we haven't had in 2 episodes, so
it was nice
having him.
Refreshy.
Yeah.
Basically, we start off with the Revenge Society / the Violet Hour, listing their nemesis and how they plan to team up to destroy them using the cover of Impossible Industries, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
At first, we were like, what's happening?
I know. At first, we see Jonas Jr., he's up on Gargantua 1, working on it in his spacesuit, and like his oxygen line comes off, and I guess that's because obviously Dr. Impossible would want him dead for stealing his wife, Sally, stealing her.
Then we see Girl Hitler, Baron Underbite's successor after he's banished from Underland, and Mike electrocutes her at the United Nations, and it's Phantom Limb under the podium reaching out and causing some shock waves.
Yeah. Then we see the Monarch, even though we find out it's obviously not the real Monarch. It's just a faux flashback Monarch, but it was still really good to see him.
Yeah.
He goes to an ATM and finds out that he's been wiped out and his trust fund is gone. And, of course, Phantom Limb would want him to suffer because he ran off with his lady and, they're big rivals and whatnot.
Also, side note, there was a Hank Co. sticker on the side of the ATM, and we'll post a screenshot of that on the blog because it was awesome. So, Dr. and Mrs. Monarch is murdered by a pair of well-placed sleeper agents within the Monarch's own ranks.
How scary was that? Even just seeing it, at that point you know it's not real.
Right, because you're like, this would never happen. But, holy wow. Wow. And it was like a gory murder situation. Yeah. And it was really troubling because are the Muppets sleeper agents? Yeah. I mean, I know that the whole thing was like the made up timeline of like what Phantom Limb is proposing, but like it's really not that far fetched. It looks like it said, it was me 21 written in blood above Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch on the wall, and the Monarch and 21, like, in this storyline, fight to the death over it. Which is kind of concerning that Phantom Limb is aware of the tension between the Monarch and 21 with the whole Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch. And this whole thing that we're all aware of from an outside perspective, like, how does Phantom Limb know about this?
Yeah. But I like that it's like, it was me, 21, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
Here is my website, also in blood.
Signature.
So meanwhile, then you also see each of the guild councilmen, like, their screen blips off, and they lose member after member, and eventually the Sovereign, his slender shoulders can no longer take it, and he commits suicide, which, by the way, is probably not going to get us getting David Bowie voicing the Sovereign anytime soon, since we see his feet dangling. So, of course, that's more Phantom Limb's beef is with the Sovereign. So, really, this is mostly Phantom Limb's, revenge list.
It's fantasy. Also,
his shit list.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Super dark opening.
I know.
And as Dr. Incorrigible says, a little killy.
So then we see the Revenge Society like having their little powwow. And side note, was anyone else, I know you were, a little bit sad to see the manservant, Underbite's manservant, get his neck broken?
Yes.
I mean, we've been through a lot together.
He's been with him since college.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
And, like, no, I mean, he wasn't even asked to do it. And he was just like, oh, I have to prove myself to be loyal? Sure.
I mean, that guy was just dying to have his own Dot Camera inspired episode, like, where we see, like, his entire history, like, he ends up being the actual sovereign or something. No, dead.
It just goes to show you that nobody, no matter how long they've been around, is sacred.
Although I think he's never had a speaking role, but whatever.
Probably not, but he has been around since college. So, Dr. Possible hasn't come out about being an evil villain yet. Instead, he's kind of like Bruce Wayne evil, in that he's hiding behind his company while secretly being nefarious. He just needs to, go to a challenge day or something and admit it.
It's interesting because I know Brock knows he's evil at this point, because, I mean, unless that mask is, like, supposed to be hiding his identity, he was definitely at the powwow in the...
Every Which Way But Zeus.
Every Which Way But Zeus episode, thank you. But it was kind of interesting to see that. I know Phantom Limb is kind of like the brains behind this outfit. He's really fueling it, and then Dr. Impossible is sort of still getting his evil sea legs, and he's sort of funding it.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's also, like, the benefactor of the Revenge Society, because, let's face it, Phantom Limb's secret black market businesses not doing so well when you're crazy and in prison.
And so Underbite is apparently, I guess you would call him the muscle/cab driver of the whole outfit.
Also, Dean is indeed interning for Impossible Industries in New York City.
You must mean Deanie V.
It was really nice to hear him have a speaking part.
Yeah.
And be really upbeat, because he's kind of been a mystery lately.
I know.
And we've been a little worried about Dean.
I know. We were worried that he was, like, really emo, that, like, at any moment he would snap, but he's been so quiet.
He also seems really jazzed about doing science stuff.
Yeah.
And we're wondering if that's maybe because, like, his dad isn't in the picture. So, like, as long as his dad isn't pushing him to do what he wants him to do, like, it's something that Dean is actually excited about doing. He just doesn't like that his dad is always, like, on his case about it.
Well, yeah, at least at the beginning of this episode, he was kind of, like, excited about it. He was a little bit... we'll talk about that a little bit later, but he was at least saying, I haven't gotten to do any science stuff yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But instead, he gets promoted to executive assistant right away, and he's just running around doing errands and fetching coffee, and, because, like, as soon as he gets hired, like, for his his unpaid internship, the entire staff leaves.
Gets laid off.
And I think it's because, he thinks it might be because of the recession, but I think it's because, he's, like, Dr. Impossible is pretty much shutting down Impossible Industries and, like, dedicating himself full-time to evil. So...
Too many witnesses.
That's what I think. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Dean also narrates Judy Blume style while he's typing on his typewriter in his heinous, cozy New York apartment.
By the way, I love that he's a super scientist, but he is on a typewriter. Again... So sad how poor the Venture family is, anyway.
And he says, most nights I just stay at home and make my own fun, and you see him crawling on his walls in his Spider-Man pajamas and just being really cute.
Which is really ironic later, considering who actually shows up. But I like that how upbeat his attitude still is.
Despite the fact that he's totally roughing it. Like, it's like his bed, his dresser, a bathtub. By the way, like, an actual New York apartment. I mean, Doc and Jackson live in New York, so they know. I'm sure they've seen...
Much worse, probably.
Yeah.
I just think he's glad to be out from under the thumb of his father.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really obvious
that he feels the freedom of being in the city, and, he's, like, in his first internship, and he's writing, and he's just all jazzed about it. He doesn't care that he's in some crap apartment.
He calls his thrifty decorating is he puts up his encouragement poster. However, I think he might have 2 encouragement posters now, since when he gets back to his, room and he's, like, covered in, like, ashes and stuff, it already is up on the wall, so...
He bought them in bulk.
He bought them in bulk. I want to see that. I want to see where is the second encouragement poster? Is it his mother? What's going on? Is it in an alternate dimension?
So Dr. Venture shows up to crash with Dean and tells Dean that the Music Man inspired him to write a Broadway play. totally normal.
Totally normal.
And he's like, it's cool if I just stay here, right? And Dean is like, no. But he has to because it's dad. Dean actually never says no, but
I know.
He just, you could tell he's like, ugh.
It was very uncharacteristically motivated of Dr. Venture. It's weird to see him interested in anything, really, you know? It's just very unlike him. But
And proactive about it. Like, actually, not just talking about it, just doing something.
Oh, God, you're right. That's so weird. But timeline-wise, from last episode, this is after, apparently, Dr. Venture bought his Walkman back from Hank's store, and he loaded it up with show tunes, which is great. I have a Walkman. Yep. I also have a Discman. But yeah.
I have an iPod.
I'm super cool. Then inspired, he moves in with Dean for like a week. It's actually over a week to work on his big break, which kind of explains why he wasn't around more in the last episode when he was supposed to be back, you know, because we don't see him after he's like buying crap in the store.
Yeah. Is it me, or does Happy Dr. Venture freak anybody else out?
It's depressing almost.
It's like, he is not supposed to be happy and excited. The reason why it's sad and freaks me out is because you know that it's Dr. Venture, so it's not going to end well. No matter what happens, it's not going to end well. Like,
so
and getting his hopes up this much and being so excited about this is like, oh, Dr. Venture, oh, you poor, poor thing.
It's also another kind of point of interest that Dr. Venture's explaining leaving the tie on the doorknob for Dean, because he's apparently under the sad delusion that Dean is lucky with the ladies, whereas he really needs to be having this talk with Hank.
Who's at home boning people as he speaks. So the Revenge Society basically operates completely under Dean's nose. Like, he is completely oblivious to the fact that they're planning all this stuff. Meanwhile, Dean is sent on a top secret mission to make copies of Rust, a Broadway musical, on Impossible Industries copy machines. The musical is about his childhood and his adventures, his secret longing for a better world.
Gosh.
Possibly on roller skates. Possibly amazing.
I'm sorry, his secret longing for a better world? I know he's a lot of secret longings, but I'm not sure if any of them involve a better world. Side note, what we would not give to get our hands on that musical. Do you know how many answers we could probably get out of that thing?
I would like to do a off-Broadway version of the musical here in town.
I would actually do it. If we could actually get our hands on that musical, we would put that together.
Yeah, we'd do it. So, who are we doing this
I don't
at?
know.
Doc and Jackson. Write that shit and then give it to us.
Oh, you know it's probably already written. That's the best part.
I know. So the Revenge Society sees Rusty is in town, and since he's burned all of them, decides to make him their first target. It's kind of Phantom Luke's decision, but they all go with it.
Yeah, because he's individually screwed them all up at one point or another. So Or over. The first attempt completely fails, however, when they try to kidnap Rusty in a cab for 3 reasons. One, Dr. Impossible accidentally gasses Underbite with the sleep gas, as you know, trying to get Rusty. Number 2, Dr. Venture kind of doesn't even notice that this is taking place because he has his Walkman on. So he's completely missing the threatening call from Phantom Limb.
And number 3, an anatomically correct Spider-Man / Brown Widow. By the way, we like Brown Widower.
Or just the Widower.
The Widower, yeah. With extra eyes and butt webs, stops the car. And, side note, Marilee was right. Nathan Fillion was the Spider-Man guy.
I mean, who else? Like, when you see him strike a dramatic pose, like, even in the teaser, I was like, who else are they going to have be Nathan Fillion?
It was a very, like, Mal, like, dun-dun-dun pose.
Yeah. He's on top of a car. It's very Doc Hammer. Captain Hammer, you know.
Dr. Hammer.
Dr. Hammer, yeah.
There's webs coming out of his bum.
Who else could it be?
No one.